Good morning and welcome to Live in a Greenhouse on YouTube. If you're new here, this channel is about my journey to design, build, and then live in the first greenhouse enclosed tiny home in the United States. This month, I made one of the biggest foundational changes since building the greenhouse, almost doubling the rainwater storage capacity from 5,000 gallons to almost 10,000 gallons. This upgrade really wasn't optional. The last 2 summers, the rain tanks have gone dry, so I've supplemented from the pool. Until last year, the pool went dry and I had to use expensive public water. So today, I'm taking you through the entire process of adding the tanks. This upgrade isn't glamorous. It's not a pretty new trellis or a new garden bed. It's foundational. It's the kind of work that makes everything else possible. If you're new here, I live in a fully permitted 400 square foot tiny home inside a 60-foot by 36-foot commercial agricultural greenhouse. The greenhouse has massive gutters that direct all the rain from the roof into 2 2,500-gallon tanks. That water is used to irrigate everything inside the greenhouse, including the food garden, the ornamental and herb beds, the trees, and when it's not leaking, it fills the lap pool. Since my property is surrounded by tall evergreen trees, there are filters on each downspout to capture debris. These are slightly above the top of the existing tanks, so even when the tanks are full and the water backs up the pipe, the overflow goes out the overflow at the tanks instead of at the filters. 2 2,500-gallon tanks were enough for the first year, as I was still setting up the raised beds and the trees were still twigs. But as the gardens grew and the dry season stretched longer, I learned the limits of this system. The goal isn't to hoard water, it's to buffer the seasons, to store enough during the wet months that the greenhouse can stay alive during the dry ones. So adding 2 more tanks wasn't about expansion, it was about garden survival and eliminating the use of potable water for irrigation. I work from home, so imagine my surprise when I look up to see the tanks being delivered. They look big laying on their sides. They look even bigger when they're standing up. The plan sounded simple. Dig a hole next to the existing tanks, drop in 2 more, connect the pipes, and call it a day.
We sit in a greenhouse.
But this is Guaymas Island, and the land had opinions. When digging the hole for the lap pool, we hit rock, so we expected to hit rock again for the rain tanks. And we did. Not the friendly kind you can pry out with a shovel. It's the kind that requires a rock breaker and a few $1,000s to persuade it to move. So we made a decision. Instead of breaking the rock, we'd set the new tanks about 10 to 12 inches higher than the old ones. That means losing about 500 gallons of potential storage, but it also means not spending a small fortune on top of what this upgrade already costs. This is the part of homesteading rarely talked about. The compromises, the trade-offs, the good enough solution that keeps the project moving. Once the hole was deep as it was going to get, fine crushed rock was added to both level the space and protect the tanks from sharp rocks. Then the tanks were lowered in. If you've never seen a 2,500-gallon tank suspended in the air, it's a strange mix of industrial and delicate, like watching a whale being moved by backhoe.
Come over here. A rock just fell down. Yeah, that guy.
Perfect. We positioned them side by side, aligned with the existing tanks, and then the real puzzle began: the plumbing. The new line was cut into the old line just downhill of the downspouts to now feed the new tanks first, then flows into the old ones. Since water seeks its own level, with all the valves open, the water level is even across all 4 tanks, unless or until the water level goes below the bottom of the new tanks. Because the old tanks are lower than the new one, there will be approximately 500 gallons in the old ones when the new tanks run dry. That meant the pump stayed exactly where it was, no electrical changes, no rewiring. Now that the tank's water level is higher, the last plumbing tank was to raise the filters on the downspouts. After the tanks were in place, we backfilled around them with river rock. It's not just for looks. The rock protects the pipes from freezing, gives water somewhere to drain, and keeps the tank stable as the ground shifts through the seasons. Although the new tanks were put in too late to fill with rain, they allow me to transfer back a few thousand gallons from the pool. When that's empty, I can spend the summer trying to find and patch the leak. I'm pleasantly surprised how well the new tanks integrate into the site without too much reconfiguration. When you move this much earth, you're not just installing tanks, you're reshaping the land. The bank needed reinforcement, the path needed rebuilding. The whole area needed to be rethought so it didn't look like a construction site forever. This is the part I think people don't talk about enough. Every improvement creates a ripple effect. You fix one thing, and suddenly 3 other things need attention. It's not failure, it's the ecosystem adjusting, and honestly, I kind of like that. So far, I've carved a new path, stabilized the bank below the path with rock, leveled and raked the path smoothed. It's not finished, but it's functional. My goal is to finish the dirt and rock work over the summer so it can be seeded in the fall when the rains return. And there you have it, Another major project checked off the list. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And I'll see you in the next video.